I'll give you guys just a couple moments to chime in, to join in live. It is 6:20 p.m. EST, so I think most people are awake now, I would hope. So whether you're joining live or you're watching the replay, I would love to know that you're here listening to my shit. So I just wrote a post about Malocchio and some things about it that are starting to come alive around the teachings of it. And I realized that I don't talk about that, and I don't share about it, and I don't communicate about that side of my being very much. I have partly not even stepped into it fully because for a lot of years, things like the evil eye and Malocchio and bad vibes in general always scared me. I really felt resistant to even thinking that I had the power to do anything about it. So if you are unfamiliar, I think there's a poll attached to this. I don't know how it works, but there we go. Launch. We'll start off with this first poll because I just launched it. I don't know. We'll see how this works. If you're even familiar with Malocchio or the evil eye. Because so I've known about it my whole life, and I think to a certain extent, if you don't know about it, you're better off. And if you do know about it, then we can have this conversation. But if you don't, ignorance is bliss here. Ignorance is bliss because you can go amongst your life and not enter the conversation where you can feel powerless to it. Because that is actually how most of the time that conversation's set up, right? The concept of Malocchio, the evil eye, is this idea, spiritual reality actually, that someone's negative energy can actually make you sick. That someone can funnel hatred, jealousy, resentment by accident, not even intentionally, in your direction, and it can harm you, right? So if you're in the spiritual world, a lot of the conversations high vibe, but this isn't high vibe. This is malicious energy, and we do it by accident all the time. Anytime we have resentments or anger or guilt or shame or whatever, and someone becomes the object of that, we can unintentionally give them Malocchio or the evil eye. And unfortunately, there's an actual impact on the other side. Now, some people are, malicious, and they will intentionally do that kind of thing. And that intentionality creates what's called a psychic attack. But for the most part, people do it unintentionally. And that's why I don't typically see it as oh, someone's doing this to me. It's just oh, someone has some shitty fucking feelings about me, and they, whether deliberately or not, are funneling that energy towards me. Now, my whole life I've been aware of Malocchio. I've been cleansed of it too many times to count. And for a lot of years, I just felt really victimized by it. It was the moment that it would come in, I would feel it and I would know it, and I would be what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? And I would call my mom, I would call my nonna to get our family friend on the phone and to have her cleanse me. And it was this thing where I just felt so powerless and so victimized by actual just energy. And I remember feeling crazy, things like jealousy is what creates Malocchio. Someone wants what you have, but they won't allow themselves to have it, so they hate you for it. And so for a number of years, that just made me feel I wasn't allowed to have things, because if I had something, somebody would get jealous and then I would get sick. And so I remember going to the grocery store with my nonno and not asking for anything, because I was just terrified. Oh, if my nonno buys me something, then I'm going to be destroyed by somebody. There was this whole relationship to asking for what I wanted receiving it and then being witnessed and reception of receiving it and then being attacked for it. And so this week, you know, I moved to Montreal. I have like my dream apartment in like an affluent neighborhood. I, by definition, have received a lot. And so much energy this week has felt like just like psychic attack after psychic attack. And so I realized, I was like, oh, fuck. Like, of course, I'm receiving a lot of a life that many people would want for themselves, but they're not willing to create it for themselves. So instead, why not just funnel your hatred towards me? It's so much easier to not stand for the desires that you want, that you have, create the life that fulfills them. That's a hard path, but so much easier to hate the person who has the life that you want. And so earlier this week, I woke up one morning and I was like, what the fuck is going on? And my head was just fogged. My vision was blurred. Like, I still see black spots. And I was like, what the fuck is happening? Because I've received so much, life's been good. And then all of a sudden just like crashing down. And so I literally sat where I'm sitting right now and I just like went into meditation and I was like, oh, yeah, right. There's a bunch of people who hate me. And so I cleared it, which was for the very first time, I didn't feel powerless to negative energy that was directed at me. I felt like I actually had some power. I was like, oh, wow, like I can actually clear that. Thank you. Great. And then today it happened again. And I was like, fuck. Like, what is this? Like, why do I keep getting these attacks? Like, what is this about? Why can't I just live my life? And what I've realized is like, for most of my life, because I've been victimized by Malocchio, the evil eye, and feeling like I didn't have any power to it, what I realized is that I let them feed me their power to give my power away. And that's really the intent, right? So it's like, let me give you the evil eye, whether it's intentional or unintentional, so that you stop being so powerful and you thus stop creating this beautiful, magnificent life. It's really the intention, right? And so I sat with it. I was like, oh, fuck. Like, I did that so many times in my life. Like, I wanted so much for myself. And then I would get like a little bit of jealousy or a little bit of hate. And I would just be like, oh, never mind. I don't want that. That's too much for me. Like, I can't have that. And I would just shut it down. And then even things that weren't like extravagant to have, I would get hate for those too. And then it was like, fuck, I can't live. Like, let me live. And so today I was sitting outside and I was sitting with it. I was like, what if I just eat the energy? They're feeding it to me anyways. Why don't I just eat it? Because the very same energy that creates the negative, like Malocchio, that creates the evil eye, that creates the bad vibes that make people sick, that very same energy is the same energy that would create your life. That same energy that you use towards hating somebody could make your life look better than theirs, feel better than theirs, be better than someone else's. It could be a life that feels juicy and like wealthy and fun and all of this stuff, but instead you waste that energy, you waste that power in hating someone, in being jealous of somebody, in, you know, just funneling any amount of your own power towards somebody else. So what I realized is like, oh, these people are funneling their power to me instead of creating their own fucking lives. And in turn, what I was doing was dismissing my own power instead of being like, yes, thank you, I'll take that too. Yeah, you want to give your power up? Fine, I'll take that too. I will take that to make my life better. I will take the power you freely dismiss and I will add it to my own cauldron. And I will create a life that will make you hate me even more. And I will create a life that will make you jealous even more until you realize that you are wasting your life hating me instead of creating your own life. That you are wasting your power wanting me to be destroyed because I'm having all of this fun and you're not, instead of using your power to have all of the fun. Like, this is some of like the mean girl energy, right? It's like, oh, you have what I want, so I need to destroy you. Rather, like, you have what I want, so I'm going to go get what I want. Right? Like, you have this life now. Like, I'm going to just lay it flat out. you have a life where you now are living in Montreal, right? This is me. People will see me and immediately they go, how can she afford that? And I'll go, well, I'm self-employed. And they're like, there's no way that you have enough money to do that. And I'm like, well, actually I do. Well, if you had enough money, then why aren't you doing this? And then they'll hold me to some other standard that they have for themselves that I don't have for myself. Those very same standards that destroy their ability to create the life that they want. And so for years, I have taken on people's jealousy and people's hatred of me because of my tremendous power to create, then stopped fucking creating my life, and then wondered why my life felt like shit. Instead, like what I actually see possible is Malocchio is a power source. You know, my nonna was terrified of it, and I actually think that's probably why she had so many problems. Listen, my nonna was one of the most beautiful women. She married one of the most beautiful men in their village. You think that woman wasn't hated? She for sure was, I guarantee it. But being scared of the way that that energy was directed at her and being so like terrified to step in and being like, yeah, fine, thank you, I'll take that too. In turn, she ended up getting sick from all of this evil eye energy and stopped creating her life. And I'm not, I believe it happens with men too, but I think this is like really bad in like with women, and particularly Italian women, because culturally there's not really sisterhood in Italian culture. I'll be really honest. It's just not. It's just a lot of women hating each other until you get into nonna age. Until you're a nonna, like nonnas get along with other nonnas, but like before that, they all hate each other. It's like a pandemic, right? And so for me, and the way that I'm choosing to relate to it is I'm really going to start seeing that every time somebody hates me, that every time somebody's jealous of me, anytime someone has something negative to say about me, it's them wasting their energy, them wasting their resources on something that could be used otherwise. Because I got to be honest, there's like nobody I'm jealous of. Because I would never waste my power being jealous of you, like jealous of your life. I would be like, okay, you have something I want, I'm going to go create it for myself. Like, oh, you have a gorgeous apartment in Montreal. I want a gorgeous apartment in Montreal. I'm going to go do that. I don't need to take it from you. You can still have it. I'm just going to go get it for me because I know that I want that now, right? Like I've had girlfriends who have these beautiful relationships and I'm like, oh, I want that for myself. I'm going to go heal my heart. I'm going to go heal my commitment issues because I want that too. I'm not going to destroy you for having it, but I'm going to thank you for pointing out that I also want it. Because if I have any ounce of like jealousy and hatred towards somebody, all it's doing is wasting my power with the intent to destroy someone else. And not everyone is going to feel negative energy and be like, you know what, I'm going to alchemize this. I'm going to hold this power that you're wasting on me to create more. Is this landing? Does this make sense? Like, you know, we can do all of the rituals. We could put the salt on our doors. We can hang the peperoncino. We can, you know, do the sign of the cross. We can do the prayer on the forehead. We can put the oil across our heads. We can do, you know, the blue beads on the bracelets. We can do all of the rituals. But I think at the end of the day, it still does come down to, if you feel the energy through your body, it's like, am I going to be victimized by this or am I going to create with it? Because I've spent so much of my life being victimized by it. Like I remember when I came back from Bali, it was a bad one. It was super fucking bad. If you guys have been following me for a while, you probably remember this. I did a couple live streams where I was like, do I go to the hospital? Like, and I was super conflicted because I was like, there's no like physical problems with me. And I know that. And I know that their doctors aren't going to find anything. But I'm in so much pain. Do I go to the hospital? And so what ended up happening is everyone was like, Steph, go to the fucking hospital. You're crazy if you don't. Because I was in so much pain. Doctors found nothing. And I remember I was living in New West. And thank God the hospital was right next door. Like I literally lived across the street from the hospital. I walked over and I explained all my symptoms. And the doctors are like, okay, can you poop in this can? Like, let's take a look at what's going on. They found absolutely nothing. And I was still sick for like 3 days. And so my nonna called me and she was like, what's wrong? What's wrong with you? Like, what's going on? And so immediately she knew. She immediately knew, because I had just come back from but when I came back from Bali, I had just finished a cross Europe road trip where I saw my family. I was driving an Audi. I then went to Bali. Like, I had so much like good things happen in my life that it was very obvious that I was being attacked by negative energy, by people's jealousy, hatred of me. And so she called our family Strega, because, you know, you should always have one. You should have one on call. I'm a firm believer. And I remember I was on the phone with my mom. Like, my nonna was on her house phone and I was on my mom's cell phone, and I was in the middle of Shoppers Drug Mart, like a pharmacy. And I was in the middle of it, and I was like, Mom, like, I can't feel the top of my head. Like, my stomach is so much, like, I'm in so much fucking pain. And then all of a sudden, like, quite literally in the middle of the fucking aisle, it felt like every vein in my face got sucked out of my nose and like pulled forward, and I could breathe again. And I was like, holy fuck. And my mom's like, what? And I was like, everything's fine. She's like, yeah, Nonna's on the phone with Isabella. And I was like, what? Like, instantaneously. Like, it was quite obvious. Like, it went like sucked out. And it was in that moment, like, I really did see how impacted I was by the energy. And how just like someone hating me can have such a visceral feeling. And so what ends up happening for people who have gone through this their whole lives, you know, evil eye, Malocchio, and when you become aware of it, you become scared of people hating you. This is a problem, because guess what? People are always going to hate you. And they're especially going to hate you if you're an energetically big ass woman. If you're attractive, they'll hate you. If you're smart, they'll hate you. If you're powerful, they hate you. If you're successful, they hate you. If you've got the hotter boyfriend, they hate you. If you've got the better apartment, they hate you. There's always going to be hatred. So when you become scared of being hated because you know the physical impact of things like Malocchio and the evil eye, you become scared to be who you are. And that's the fucking game. Like, you become terrified to be hated because you know that there's like a physical impact on you. And I guess like the reason why I'm doing this live stream is where I'm at today is I'm actually seeing that there doesn't have to be a physical impact. It doesn't have to be that way. It can actually be like, you know what? I understand it. I'm going to be hated, but I'm going to be big anyway. And if you are going to waste your magic hating me, that's your choice. But I will never waste my magic hating somebody else. I will only create for my life, and that is it. Like, I can only do that. I can only create for my life. So anytime somebody wants to hate me from here on out, thank you. Thank you. I'll take that too. You don't want your power? Okay, cool. I'll take that. I don't need it. I got plenty for myself. But if you don't want it, if you don't want your power, okay, fine. I'll take it. I'll take it, and I'll create a life that you will keep hating me for. So you keep giving up your power and you stop living your life until you realize that you are worth creating the life that you want for. Until you start doing the exact same, where you no longer play the game of hating other people because it's just not fucking worth it. You think I'm going to disrespect my magic by hating you? You think you're that important? No, I'm done. I'm not available to that anymore. And it's funny because like I don't talk about Malocchio, and it actually is something I need to be teaching more about. And I teach a program called Enchantment, and I've been scared to bring this into there too. Because it's like, I don't want to teach people Malocchio and evil eye concepts when if ignorance is bliss. You're better off not knowing. You're better off not playing in this game, because energetic movement is intense. And you need to be fucking responsible for it. And the problem that is in this world is nobody wants to be responsible for it. We want to hate freely. Hate that bitch. Be jealous of that bitch. Like, we want to do that because it's being less responsible is like the way that society works right now. To be responsible and say, every moment I feel jealousy is because another person has something I want, and my opportunity is to create that thing for myself. That's responsibility. Like, yes, you're right. If you know, like, you need to know if you know. Like, you need to know, if you know about Malocchio and the evil eye, you need to know you don't need to be victimized by it. And I've spent too much of my life being victimized by it. I've spent too much of my life feeling terrified to be hated and being terrified to be attacked and like terrified to like have people's energy come at me. And I think where I'm at right now is like, come at me. Come at me. Come at me and give me every power you don't want to hold for yourself, and watch the life I will build with the power you abuse. Watch it. I'm gonna create it anyway, but know that I'll create it because you wasted yours. Because if you are actively using your own power and you don't waste it on hating, being jealous, wasting it on other people, the only thing you can possibly be doing is creating your own life and being stoked for everybody creating theirs. Like, it's really like the only option. And I like, every human particle of me is feeling so uncomfortable even talking about this, but like, I believe it. I believe it so wholeheartedly that if you're gonna hate me, I'm gonna eat you. I will eat you. It won't be worth it for you to hate me. So like, I almost want people to say like, I hate you and this is the reason why. And then for me to be able to say like, okay, why? Why do you hate me? Why are you wasting your energy on me? Am I worth it? Is it worth it to hate me, or is it worth it to create the life that you actually want here? And it's funny because like, I remember when I was 15 or 16, I had a hate website made about me. And I was shattered. Like, and I was shattered because in the website there was enough truth. There was just enough truth in that hate page that I wasn't sure that people would be able to tell the difference of like, what was the exaggeration, what was the lie, because there was just enough truth that like you could feel what was true. But I was like, but no one's gonna know. People are gonna be like, oh yeah, but that's true, so obviously the rest of it's true. And I remember feeling heartbroken, destroyed, powerless. And I have 15 or 16 years old. Like, I was so young. And I think that was like another place where I got scared for people to hate me. In university, I started getting into the spot of like, fine, fucking hate me. And I actively would make people hate me. And then again, like, that wasn't the right way to go either. So like, where I'm at with this is like, I'm not going to force you to hate me, but if you're going to do it, okay, let's fuck around, you know? And if I really go throughout my life, like, there's just been spots of like me being the hated one. But it was always secret. It was always manipulative. It was always backdoor hatred. And backdoor hatred is where Malocchio starts, because it's nice to your face with a stabbing you in the back. Like, it's so fucking gross. And so in turn, I ended up going, okay, well, I'm terrified to be hated, but now I don't trust anybody. Do you know how hard it is to fall in love when you don't trust anybody? Do you? I'll give you a hint. It's fucking hard. It's hard to fully love anybody because you don't trust anybody. So not even in turn, you're not even receiving love all the way because you don't trust them. You're not even giving love all the way because you don't trust them. And all of that really came down to like, I was fucking petrified of the energy that could be directed me any other day. Like, I was fully convinced anyone could destroy me. Anybody could destroy me. What a fucking way to live my life. Do you know how much power I lost just in that fear alone? That somebody could destroy me? I don't know if you guys know this. I'm a pretty powerful broad. It's actually going to be hard to destroy me, but the belief that I could be destroyed kept me so small. And it kept me so impossibly small that I couldn't actually feel the magic in my life. And so for a huge chunk of my life, I wasn't creating anything. I was living life based on the circumstances I was given. Very little creation. Like, okay, I got to go to school. Okay, well, now I'm in this circumstance. So now I'm going to work on my degree for 10 fucking years. Zero creation. It was all happenstance. My life was patchwork of happenstance. No deliberate design. And it's funny because this particular thing around Malocchio, like, you know, some people are like, oh, well, that's just a story. It's not real. This is also the example of like fantasy covering the real magic. The fear that I'm going to be destroyed. The fear that I can't be hated. Stop me from creating in my life. That's a story in itself. It doesn't matter if you want to call it Malocchio. Like, that itself is the problem. That at some point I got so scared of being hated that I stopped building. I stopped trusting. I stopped opening. I stopped everything. So I'll say it again before I log off. I don't think there's actually anything to fear in being hated anymore. There's going to be a little heartbreak that you think that it's worth your energy to hate anybody. That it's worth your energy to be jealous of somebody else, to backdoor, backstab. I think I'm going to be a little bit heartbroken. And if I'm going to be the object of that, all right, come at me. I'll take it. I'll take it, and I will build the most beautiful castle. So you keep throwing your bricks, and then I'll build an even bigger castle. So you keep throwing more bricks, and then so on and so forth. If that is what it's going to take for you to finally realize you are wasting your life, to finally saying, hey, can I have my bricks back? I will give you your bricks back fully. I'll be like, hey, yeah, totally. Thanks for creating this for me, by the way. For those of you who know what like Evil Eye is and Malocchio, like, it's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because you get to know about energetics really early on. But it's also a curse because it's not taught from this lens of you know what to do with it. It's actually taught as like the thing to fear. It's taught as the thing of like, you've got to be scared here. You don't have any power. If you've got Malocchio, you've got to get all the prayers and all the anointments and all of this stuff. Like, that's how it's taught. That's how it's spoken about. It's not spoken about like, okay, cool. So you feel that energy. What are we going to do with it? What are we going to create with it? Because that person gave it away to you anyway. It's all energy, and energy is neutral. It's not good nor bad. So if we can get rid of the story that Malocchio is dangerous, instead of Malocchio being someone deliberately giving you their power because they don't respect it. Maybe that's how we create the alchemy. Maybe that's how we actually create lives that we really love. And then maybe someone is inspired rather than being destructive with their own desire. So that's all it is, right? We hate those who have something we desire, and we either destroy that desire by destroying them, or we're inspiring that desire by creating for ourselves. Like, it feels really simple once we actually peel back away from being scared. So I would eat it up. Yeah, it's literally the simplest mind shift. Just, I'm going to eat it up. I'm going to eat it. I'm going to eat it from now on. Thank you for keeping me fed. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. If you want to learn more about this, if you want to continue this kind of conversation, this is the direction enchantment's going, right? So enchantment is my 1-year journey that I've been fighting with for like 2 years now. And it's really about like peeling back some of these stories and narratives and being like, what is my magic? What am I going to create in this world? What do I get to step into and experience? And I got to tell you, like, I'm done fighting. Like, that is the story for me that has been falling apart, is like, I got to fight everything. I got to protect myself, and I've got to like put all my guards up, and I got to be ready, and I got to be scared. And I'm like, nah, bro. I don't fight anymore. Like, even with dudes on fucking TikTok, I'm like, okay, delete. I'll give them a chance. Like, I don't fight anymore. I'm not, my life, so much more precious than fighting people. If somebody wants to fight me, like, bro, we're on a rock, like a spinning rock in the middle of the universe. Like, I am not the most important thing to you. Please realign your priorities, you know? I just don't fight anymore. I'm not willing to do it. Like, there's so much that my heart is like, no, we're not doing that anymore. And I think that's why this teaching around Malocchio came through, because it's like, I'm not going to fight it anymore. I'm not going to fight you hating me. I'm going to eat it up. I'm not going to fight life anymore. And that's the story I was living through. And the moment that I stopped choosing to provide truth to that narrative, that I have to fight, that I have to protect myself, magic actually opens. Magic actually reveals itself. Like today, I probably have had more people viewing live than I've had in months. That itself is magic, right? We release the fantasy to reveal the magic. I'm releasing the fantasy that Malocchio is something I need to be terrified of. Revealing the magic that we actually get to create from the energy people are freely willing to give up. When they come to, hi baby, when they come to and they realize that like, that's not how they want to use their energy, we'll be like, cool, I'm here for you. However you want to do this, you know? So if that's something that interests you and you're like, yeah, I want to do enchantment, send me a message. I'm opening the doors for enrollment once again. You're so dramatic. You are. You're so dramatic. I'm doing radiance calls all next week. So you'll get on a one-on-one with me and we will talk about this particular program. And if it's a fit, it's fit. If it's not, it's not. You just get to talk to me for half an hour. So send me a message. Otherwise, let me know in the comments what you're leaving here with, and I will talk to you later.